Good afternoon, guys. I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land. And today is a very emotional day, very poignant day here in Israel. Today, the 7th of February, marks exactly 4 months since that Black Sabbath, since that dark Shabbat day when over 3,000 Hamas terrorists infiltrated Israeli sovereign territory via land, sea, and air, and brutally attacked army bases, small towns, and peaceful kibbutzim along what we call the Otef, the Gaza envelope communities. On that day, under the cover of thousands of rockets fired towards the Israeli civilian population, a double war crime because they are fired from within their civilian communities into our civilian communities. Hamas terrorists came in, they burnt, they beheaded, they kidnapped, they mutilated, they raped, they murdered over 1,200 Israeli civilians and foreign nationals, and of course took over 250 as prisoners into the Gaza Strip. It is a very, very difficult time in Israel because at the end of the day, on the 7th of October, Israel was effectively at war against Hamas. Today is 124 days since the start of that war, a war in which we have lost over 220 soldiers fighting in Gaza. This is in addition to the over 300 soldiers we lost on the day. And of course, our precious brothers and sisters and foreign nationals. Israel is very much a country still in that trauma phase, even though we are united and we know what to do and we're all doing our part for the war effort. Simultaneously, we are still dealing with our deep, deep grief. I don't believe we have moved out of the trauma stage into post-trauma. And I think the 7th of every month will be a very, very difficult day. Last night, we received the shattering news that was broken by the New York Times and confirmed by Israeli intelligence that at least 32 of the hostages being held in Gaza have been killed. According to Israeli intelligence, their families have been notified. We don't know which families they are, but it is a shattering blow to the people of Israel. That means a fifth of those remaining hostages inside the Gaza Strip are in fact murdered. We are still doing the hostage release tango. And I use that word deliberately because we seem to take a step forward, a step back, a step forward, a step back. We've had no confirmation yet from Hamas whether or not they accept the terms. Last night, a Qatari official saying that they are optimistic about this. However, we heard from Hamas officials that they still want complete and comprehensive withdrawal and a ceasefire. Israel's perspective is that neighbors upstairs are drilling. The Israeli perspective is that absolutely no chance of that. In fact, Channel 13 today reporting that some demands just can't be met and that Israeli officials will debate how to proceed forward. The Biden administration have said that Hamas's response to this proposal is a little over the top. Israel was prepared to put forward a pause in hostilities so that we could get our hostages back, but Hamas seemed to want the complete and comprehensive withdrawal and ceasefire. In other news, yesterday we told you that Argentinian President Javier Milei had landed in Israel or was on his way to Israel. Well, he landed yesterday and the first thing he said was he will be fulfilling his promise of moving the Argentinian embassy from where it is in Tel Aviv to our eternal undivided capital, Jerusalem. In the last 24 hours, the president has met with our president, President Isaac Herzog, as well as Prime Minister Netanyahu. And earlier today, he visited Yad Vashem, Israel's Holocaust Memorial and Museum. He also went to the Kotel, the Wailing Wall, to pray there. And it sends such a message to us as the Israeli people, to the Jewish people, that he acknowledges not just our capital, but our holy sites as well. Saudi officials have told U.S. Secretary of State Blinken, who is in Israel at the moment but has been visiting states in the region, that they will not formalize any diplomatic ties with Israel without a Palestinian state. And they've actually gone a step further this time. They've said that it has to be along 1967 borders with the capital in East Jerusalem. Now, no Israeli is going to agree to relinquishing any parts of Jerusalem. Jerusalem for us is our undivided capital. It's our eternal capital. So while this is in line with what the Saudis have said in the past of having a Palestinian state as conditional for their normalization with Israel, we haven't seen them put down such stringent terms as of yet. And finally, many of us keep saying that TikTok is not a reputable source of news. Yesterday, President Herzog met with TikTok executives who are in Israel, and up for discussion, very importantly, is how the platform is being used to disseminate anti-Semitic and anti-Israel propaganda. Executives admitted that there are at least 160 million, just take that in for a second, 160 million fake profiles pushing these anti-Semitic and anti-Israel tropes, which of course we see manifesting in the streets. Now, I know many of you out there might love TikTok, you're addicted to the videos, you love making videos. But it is absolutely imperative that we understand exactly what TikTok is, who runs it, and how it is being used, not just to gather personal information and intelligence, but how it has become a useful tool to push this extreme hatred against Jews and Israel. So parents, please, I know children love TikTok, you can't get them off TikTok, but for their safety, and for our collective safety, please do something about your children being on TikTok. Please explain to them and show them the very, very real dangers of a platform like TikTok. And that brings me to the end of today's edition of the Israel Brief. Don't forget to join me again tomorrow as we wrap up for the week. But before we do, please visit our website at www.layoftheland.online. All our comprehensive, in-depth coverage of Israel's war with Hamas, the 7th of October, is all up there. We are also on YouTube at the Israel Brief. Like, share, and subscribe. On Facebook at Lottel Site, and on X, where you can find us at Lay of the Land 5. Today, as we commemorate 4 months since the 7th of October atrocities, and which is coincidentally the birthday of Shani Look, we all remember those images of Shani being her broken legs, her body stripped of its clothing on the back of a pickup truck, being paraded through the streets of Gaza like a trophy while men kicked at her and spat on her, and we could see the wound in the back of her head. I want to ask you something. I want to ask you to please read the story of a victim of the 7th of October atrocities and the story of one of the hostages. Let's make sure the world does not forget. We said never again, and never again is now. That's it from me for today. Guys, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. I'm Rolene Marks. I'll see you again tomorrow.